Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we have the season finale here in all three series, the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series, where we find ourselves in the Final Four for both Trucks and Xfinity as a team owner, and for myself as a driver. We are in the Final Four for the second straight season here on the Cup Series side of things against Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. So a very exciting episode coming your way now as we get underway though for the Truck Series event here at the Lucas Oil 150. Anything short of a championship here on the Truck Series side for us today would be a disappointment. We've had such a great season, so many wins, we've really dominated the whole season. So of course we come into this one expecting nothing less than a championship for this race. So we had subscriber Arden Parrish in the truck for us here in this episode as he would get underway. Just about P10 here is where he qualified. So I was already feeling pretty confident in our abilities to potentially get our first owner championship here in the Truck Series now as Arden Parrish comes to the center of turns 1 and out of turns 2 there in front of the 2 truck of Rajah Caruth now as it goes down this back straightaway behind Jordan Anderson as he's going to send it up the inside 3 wide here into turn 3. He was being aggressive right off the bat, and there was honestly not a whole lot of Final Four competition around Arden at this point in the race. The only competitor he had was the 52 of Stuart Friesen, who was just up in front of him here as he went down into turn 1. So really, if he could just get past Friesen, he'd be in really good shape here for the rest of the race. So we were really just hoping he could get to the back of that 52 and get around him as quickly as possible. And Friesen was actually stuck on the outside, so Arden makes it 3 wide down the front straightaway through the dogleg there with Friesen as well as Brett Moffitt into turn 1, and that would give Arden his opportunity to pass Friesen for the championship lead. But then it was 3 wide there out of turns 2 as Moffitt pulled the crossover. So it was side by side for the championship lead here between Friesen and Parrish as it goes down into turn 3. But he would complete the pass on the 52 of Stuart Friesen, and after that he would just drive away from the 52 truck of Stuart Friesen now as he was under attack behind us from the number 3 of Jordan Anderson. So now it was just hanging on to the championship at this point here for Arden Parrish as he came through to turn 2. So we came through now to the final lap here at Phoenix Raceway down the back straightaway into turns 3 for the final time here, and for the first time as a Truck Series owner we're going to come through to get the championship with Arden Parrish bringing home a finish good enough to win our team the championship here at Phoenix Raceway. So P6, a solid finish overall. John Hunter Nemechek would pick up the victory now as of course the focus now transitions into the Xfinity side of things where we are of course are going for another owner championship over there. But you see the rest of the finishing order first on your screen. Matt Crafton only got up to P27 after starting at the back due to some inspection issues or whatever it was, or maybe a problem with his truck. But here you will see the actual Final Four order now as we made a lot of money from that now as Friesen 4 points below, Chastain 6, and Enfinger 9 below there. So we had a great race here in the Truck Series, but now we come through towards the Xfinity side of things there. That's the first time we get to look at that trophy as an owner here in the Truck Series. So now here we are as a rookie Xfinity owner looking to get our first championship as well. And I knew it was going to be hard. I actually had Noah Gragson in the car for us in this one. Of course, as you guys know, in the next season we will have Paul Menard as a full-time driver behind the wheel of our number 77 Camaro it will be, and he will have the Menards paint scheme. I will be showing that in the next episode for the off-season episode. The off-season episode is going to be very paint scheme based. You're going to see a lot of the new paint schemes in that episode. That's kind of what we're going to be going over, and then of course a few driver changes and whatnot in the series. But we come through here into the Xfinity side of things going for a championship. The problem was I could not get the car upgraded in time or developed in time for this short track, so I already knew we were pretty much a long shot to win this championship, unfortunately, as there was not a lot of speed in this car. And that pretty much was exactly the situation we were dealt with. We had no speed in this number 24 Camaro here today at Phoenix Raceway in the Xfinity Series. So it's a complete different situation of what we just had in the Truck Series where we were able to win the championship. And unfortunately, Noah Gragson, a good driver, made the playoffs in the Cup Series, hops in our Xfinity car, which was just so far off the pace today. Unfortunately, he wasn't really able to do anything here now as it came through a little bit later. He actually got passed by the 18 of Riley Herbst here down the back straightaway into turns 3, so another position lost. No gaining positions, unfortunately, here today. A disastrous Xfinity season finale for us here, and a chance to win the championship. So we just cut straight through to the final lap at this point, and you can just see Gragson had no chance of running down anybody now as it comes down the back straightaway for the final time here in the Desert Diamond Casino West Valley 200 here at Phoenix Raceway. Now as it comes through out of turns 4, a very disappointing day here for our team in the Xfinity Series as Noah Gragson comes through to to cross the line in P18. So a disappointing day there, as you see the finishing order on your screen. So Chad Fincham at the very bottom. Fincham will still be in the career mode next season in the Xfinity series, at least. As you guys know, his Cup team's getting replaced by Red Bull, who will be returning. But you see the order there at the front, and the champion would be Michael Annett here in the Xfinity series. So a great job by Annett to pick up that championship. He's so good in the Xfinity series in these games. Allgaier and Creed were second and third, but now we come through into the Cup Series weekend where things matter the most for myself in the 24 car. We actually have a special paint scheme for this episode, and it's the members paint scheme. So if you are a member of the channel, I put your name on the hood of the car for this episode, and I'm going to do this every season probably for the Phoenix episode, so hopefully we can have a good result here. Now as we come through to start qualifying, going to show the whole qualifying lap since it is the final race of the season now, and of course I can confirm we will be back in the 24 car next season in the career mode, and hopefully many seasons now, as the goal was to hit a 26.067 here in qualifying. Usually we do not beat the goal at Phoenix. Now as we dive down into turns 3 here on our qualifying attempt out of turns 4, it felt like a pretty decent lap now as we came through out of turns 4, crossing the line with a 26.112 in the Fan Shield 500, so we qualify P12 for the championship race here in Phoenix. But you're going to notice the one problem was all of our championship rivals, Truex, Kyle Busch, Hamlin, they all qualified in the top 5, with Truex and Kyle Busch on the front row and Denny Hamlin on row 2 along with Cole Custer, as you see the rest of the order now. Chase Elliott with a very poor qualifying effort now towards the bottom of the field. John Hunter Nemechek in that last position. All right, boys, no matter what happens, I just want to thank you all for a great season. It's been, 5 wins? So hopefully we can cap it off with maybe a 6th win today. But no matter what happens, thank you for everything you've done this season, and let's go get a championship. Our third full-time Cup Series season, our second Final Four appearance. Last season it ended in just such sadness, with Kurt Busch having a tire failure, taking himself and myself out in the same incident there. As you see, Corey LaJoie, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Harrison Burton all going to the back of the field for the start of this race now, as we get ready to go green here for the Fan Shield 500 at Phoenix Raceway for the Final Four race here in our third Cup Series season. Our second attempt at the Final Four is now underway, and up front, of course, we got Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch on the front row. Martin Truex Jr., the final race of his Cup Series career is underway. Of course, he would love to go out a 2-time champion. Most recently won it in 2017. He could become a 2-time champ today. Kyle Busch, he's looking to become a 4-time Cup Series champion and match Jeff Gordon. He's won 2 in real life, and then he won 1, which was last season in our career mode, put him at 3, and now he's looking for championship number 4. Denny Hamlin, he's still looking for championship number 1, just like myself. Hamlin's been close, had multiple Final Four appearances, and of course this is our second one as we look to get our first Cup Series championship. And immediately we had moved up into the top 10 here after just 1 lap in the race, and it appeared that Kyle Busch, after starting up in second place, was off to a bit of a slow start here as we exit turns 2 going down the back straightaway. He's already down to P7, so I was already under the impression that that 18 car does not have a lot of speed here today. And of course the more Final Four contenders that are not very fast helps us a lot now as we come through, crossing the line, making it 3 wide with Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick as we dive down into turns 1 up the inside of our Hendrick Motorsports teammate of Alex Bowman. Now as I went a little bit too deep into the corner, Kyle Busch was able to get to my inside but could not remain up my inside, so we would now get to the 23 of Bubba Wallace and go up the inside of him and make a pass as well. And I should mention about Alex Bowman, you saw him running that Jimmy Johnson's final race paint scheme. That will of course be the last time you see that, as he will have his 2021 paint scheme next season here in the career mode. So we move up, though, into the 4th position early on within the first handful of laps, and then on the now 5th lap, we would get up the inside of the 41 of Cole Custer. Kyle Busch was still following me through the field, but we passed the 41 of Custer, move up into P3 here as we exit turns 4, coming through to cross the line with still 13 laps to go on the stage, but you could already see there was a very large gap between myself and the front 2 drivers of Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr., and I really pushed here to try and run them down, and I really hurt my right front tire doing this, and tire wear is always an issue at Phoenix now as we come through to 10 laps to go in the stage. Hamlin was actually closing in on the back of Martin Truex Jr., and I was losing time to these guys. Kyle Busch was trying to close in on myself as well. Felt a little bit awkward battling my former teammates here for the championship, by the way. Now, as you see, the tire icon or tire lights had come on to warn us that our right front tire was at 20%, and we still had 5 laps to go once we crossed the line here. So I had to back the pace down quite a bit to make sure we could get to the end of this first stage here. Now, with without having to come into the pit lane or blowing a tire. So we come through to 3 laps to go, and we had opened up a gap though to Kyle Busch. There's trouble actually in front of us. Martin Truex Jr. has blown a right front tire. A Final Four contender who was leading the race crashes here in stage 1, ends the stage a few laps early, saves us, but Martin Truex Jr. surprisingly is not out of this race. He will come in to fix his car, and he will still have a chance to win the championship now, but some implications early on there as I come into the pit lane as well for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. You see me making a bunch of adjustments on the car to try and free it up because it felt a little bit too tight for myself here in stage 1. Car feels alright, but I think it needs to be a little bit looser, guys. Hopefully we'll be pretty good here in stage 2 and have something for the 11. There you hear myself on the radio. Truex is now in the middle of the pack, so he's got some work to do to get up here for the start, though, of stage 2. We'll go into the AMP segment for the final time this season. Denny Hamlin, myself, run in the first and second positions here as you had your AMP segment for the final time this season. Of course, we're going to bring that back next season here in the career mode as well as we come through to 25 laps to go. A lot more laps here in stage 2, and we will have to make a pit stop no matter what, caution or not. It might be under green flag conditions. We'll have to wait and see. But we were pulling away from third place of Kyle Busch and beyond, but Denny Hamlin was pulling away from myself, and I was being very careful on my right front tire. I was trying to make sure we could get this tire as long as possible, so I really wasn't pushing the car trying to run down Denny Hamlin, so I was perfectly fine with him running away because right now stage points of course don't matter, so I did not really care that Denny Hamlin was driving away and I was not trying to run him down. So Martin Truex Jr., he was working his way through the field very quickly, by the way. He was now up to P5. He had passed Kyle Busch, and now though with 10 laps to go on the stage already, nothing had happened here in stage 2 whatsoever. We were getting ready to actually make green flag pit stops here within the next few laps or so. So I was preparing for that. The right rear tire actually had worn the most, which told me that I had done a tremendous job so far of saving my right front tire in the second stage, because in stage 1 we destroyed our right front tire compared to the right rear. And you see there the tire light comes on for the right rear tire there on lap 20 of the second stage, that 20% there now as Martin Truex Jr. continuing to try and work his way through the traffic now as we come through out of turns 2. I had absolutely nothing for Denny Hamlin at this point now as I decide though, Quinn Halfie comes into the pit lane. I decide we're going to come into the pit lane on lap 23 because that right rear tire had really been wearing now. So we come through about a lap or two likely ahead of Denny Hamlin and whatnot into the pit lane. So we're going to put 2 cans of fuel in, 4 fresh tires of course, and no repairs necessary on the car. Decided not to make any adjustments, but the caution comes out while we're on the pit lane, and this is going to be huge because we're going to come in to service the car, and we do not have to pit between the kind of cutscene there between the caution and the green flag. So we're going to cycle out to the lead because we did not go a lap down when that happened, so everybody has to come in, and sure enough we cycle out to the lead, and so does Truex move up to second. So about 6 of us that had been on the pit lane at the time of the caution move into the front 6 positions now as we are underway. Hamlin down in what, P7 now, with all of a sudden 2 laps to go here in stage 2. So we made a great call coming into the pit lane when we did. The crash or whatever happened came at a perfect time, and all of a sudden here we are in position to win the second stage, which does absolutely nothing for us, but it'd still be nice to pick up anyways now as we go down this back straight away. A lap and a half to go in stage 2. Martin Truex Jr. trying to defend over the 42 of Ross Chastain. Last episode at Martinsville Speedway, Chastain picked up his first career win in the Cup Series, and now here he is running up here in P3 trying to battle it out with Truex as we come through to start the final lap of stage 2 now, just trying to make sure we bring it to the end, and I realized that we were not going to be pitting at the end of the stage, so I actually back it down on this lap, seeing the gap I have, so I can make sure I save my right front and right rear tire as much as I can, setting us up better for this third and final stage here as we go down into turn 3 on this final lap in stage 2 for the Fan Shield 500. In the final 4 championship race, we come through to win the second stage as Ross Chastain comes through to cross the line behind us in second place. Martin Truex Jr. is the closest Final 4 driver in P3, then Denny Hamlin in the 5th position, but Kyle Busch continues to struggle. He is not even in the top 10, so very unfortunate for a driver like Kyle Busch, who is so far is having a very rough day here at Phoenix Raceway, and probably is not going to be in the picture for the championship today. Can't say I expected to be able to get that stage win, boys, but car feels good. I think we're in pretty decent shape here, but the short run is going to really be the big factor here for the start of the final stage. Nobody comes into the pit lane there. You heard myself on the radio as we get ready to go green for the third and final stage in the championship race. We lead the Final 4 battle. Myself, Truex, Hamlin start on the first 3 rows on the inside line now as we go down towards turns 1. 29 laps to decide a champion, and if it stays green, everybody will have to come to the pit lane at least one more time now as we come through out of turns 2. Chastain side by side in my rear view mirror with Martin Truex Jr. No matter what happens, Martin Truex Jr. has had a tremendous career in real life and throughout this career mode as well here in his final race before Harrison Burton moves from that 95 to replace Truex here in the career mode as we come through to complete the first and opening lap. Harrison Burton, like I said, leaving the 95, which means that 95 car will be remaining actually one more season in the career mode. They will have to look for a driver, and I will announce that driver in the next episode for the off-season video before the Daytona 500, but I was not really forcing the issue right here. Truex had run me down. I let him have the inside because I know how much I need to save my right side tire, so I say, you know what, you can go have it because I'll try to run you down later in the run, but I of course want to make sure I stay within range of Truex. And Hamlin was also now up to P3 behind myself as we go into turns 1. Same situation for him. I said, you know what, you can have second place. I'm just going to continue to manage my right side tires because in the past I really hurt myself pushing the car too hard in these races, so I was trying to make sure I set myself up as good as possible for the late stages. In this race, there's trouble behind us, so Zane Smith in the McLaren blows the right front tire. He goes into the outside. While he hits it again, he's going to come down into traffic. He goes around the caution. Comes out again here at Phoenix Raceway with 23 laps to go, which now forces everybody into the pit lane. So my tire management felt useless right there because now we come in, put right side tires on the car, half a can of fuel in, and we come out again here in P3 for the restart. So we are still going to have enough laps, though, left in this race to where we will have to try and manage those right side tires just a little bit longer. Now as we're back underway with 20 laps to go in the season, Truex, Hamlin, myself, your front 3 drivers all in the Final 4 going for a championship. Kyle Busch nowhere really to be found here as we go down into turns 1, trying to get the best exit possible. Todd Gilliland, the rookie behind us, has had some strong runs in that 6 car throughout the season. Definitely look for him to potentially be in position to get a better ride in the future of this career mode. Daniel Suarez in the Trackhouse car behind us as well. You'll see a brand new paint scheme on that car next season now as we exit turns 4. Suarez picked up his first career win earlier this season, managed to get in the playoffs and have a decent run, but ended up being a first round exit. Now as you see, the gap between myself and these front 2 drivers with now about 15 laps to go once we get to the line here was getting a little bit larger because I was saving those right side tires just a little bit more before we make that final push, and I was trying to get that right front tire saved the most. So we come through to 10 laps to go now on lap 69. Nice here as I decide, you know what, it's time to start pushing a little bit and closing that gap, and we were doing just that, and this was building up my confidence a lot, realizing that once I started pushing this car, we were able to close in a little bit here now as we go down this back straightaway, approaching the final 9 laps in the season here as we go into turn 3. The caution comes out again with 10 laps to go, and the one positive about this is this guarantees that I really do not have to worry about saving any tires at all, and we can just push as hard as we want for this championship here in Phoenix as Martin Truex Jr. in his final race runs P1 here as we get ready for the restart. So Truex, Hamlin, myself, 1, 2, 3, Chastain, and P4. Logano rounds out the top 5. Logano starting right behind myself, but of course it is time to get really aggressive as we are underway with less than 10 laps to go. A great launch for myself. We're going to take it 3 wide for the championship lead here between myself, Truex, and Denny Hamlin in the final race of the season. We clear them both into turns 1. It was a tremendous restart from myself now as we come through the center of 1 and out of turns 2. So now here we are leading the Final 4 battle in position to win our first Cup Series championship in just our third full-time season, and only, I think, 3 drivers have won a championship in their third full-time season. Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, as well as Dale Earnhardt Sr. now as we come through across the line. 5 laps to go in the season here at Phoenix Raceway. Truex is going to pass Hamlin for the second position now as Hamlin's in trouble. He's stuck on the outside, and he's under pressure from other cars. Great for us, of course, now, as that kind of narrows it down between myself and Truex for this championship battle. Matt DiBenedetto had ended up passing Hamlin as we come through to 3 laps to go, though Truex had run myself down as we go into turns 1. He was putting the pressure on myself here as going to turns 1 and 2, just trying to stay in front, but we push up the track a little bit, opening up the door for Martin Truex Jr. as we exit turns 2 side by side for the championship lead. We run him down the track a little bit, trying to kind of give him a poor entrance into turns 3, but he still is able to attack to my side. So side by side as we exit turns for the final 2 laps of the season underway, we cross Truex over there on the dogleg apron, side by side again as we go down into turns 1. This time we're on the inside with the advantage, but we go a little bit too deep, and now Truex, he's going to cross us over as DiBenedetto and Hamlin are on P3 and P4 now. A lap and a half to go as we go down this back straightaway. We have the edge. We once again push Truex a little bit down the track as we go down into turns 3, approaching the final lap, but the caution comes out, and it's going to force overtime in the season finale here at Phoenix Raceway to decide a champion, as Truex barely had the lead there at the time of the caution, putting us in a bit of a disadvantage here on the second lane here for the final restart of the day. If that could have came out a few seconds earlier, that would have been great. We'd have been set there on the inside, but now we're going to have to give it everything we got. Sorry, guys, but we'll see what happens here. There you heard myself here as we get ready to go green for the final restart of the season. Martin Truex Jr.'s final restart of his career now as we are back underway overtime for the championship here in Phoenix Raceway now, as I believe this might be the first time we've had overtime for a championship now as we go down into turns 1, at least in the career mode, I should say now, as Truex has the advantage. Hamlin has no chance now, stuck on that second lane as we get a great run on the exit of turn, so we have to once again push Truex down a little bit potentially. I decide to keep it even here, a fair fight as we go down into turns 3, approaching the final lap. We get a great run on this second lane, and I was hoping to cross him over, but no chance to do that, so I push him as far down to that yellow line as I can to pinch him as we start the final lap here in Phoenix for the championship between myself and Martin Truex Jr. into turns 1 and 2. He clears us through the center of the corner. We get a great run on the exit of turns 2. It's now send it mode at this point here as I decide to back out of it to make sure I can get us inside into turn 3. We send it up the inside for the championship here at Phoenix Raceway now as we're going to door slam on the exit of turns 4. More slamming coming to the line. Who's going to get it? Martin Truex Jr. is able to win in a photo finish for the championship here on the Fan Shield 500 at Phoenix Raceway. A photo finish to determine the champion, and unfortunately we come out on the bad end of that. Now, as you're going to see, I actually show a slow motion here of just the run to the line. Very disappointed, obviously, with that. As I felt like my only opportunity was to slam into the 19. I hope you guys were okay with that. But right here, we get disconnected, and that allows him. I pull back to the right, and it just slows me down just a tiny bit. You saw as soon as I made contact for that second time, it pulled my car back just a little bit with the speed loss, and that allowed Truex to actually win the race. So looking back on it, I honestly feel like maybe if I didn't slam him the second time, we actually would have won the race, which is so disappointing. I'm sure you guys are disappointed with that, and we were so close to our first Cup Series championship. So disappointing there. As Martin Truex Jr., though, I guess the feel-good story for that is Truex ends up going out a 2-time champion and does what Jimmy Johnson did and wins the championship in their final season. So disappointing for us, of course, now. But next season, I feel like we're going to be even stronger. 5 wins on the season. The only disappointing thing about the playoffs is we didn't win a single playoff race this season, which was really disappointing. Unfortunately, at the end of the season, we can't go back and look at the stats without going into the next season. So we're not going to go into that for this episode, but of course, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I just want to say thank you for everybody's support throughout the season. We had a lot of driver changes and whatnot, a few paint scheme changes, and next season is going to be very paint scheme based. I'm going to show you guys pretty much all the new paint schemes in the next episode for the off-season video, and I hope you guys really do enjoy those, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. It sucks how it ended. I honestly shouldn't have slammed the 19 for the second time. I really think that we would have won the championship if we didn't do that. So looking back on it, I would have just kept it clean, actually, between himself and I. So we'll definitely keep that in the bag of just kind of knowledge for the next season here in the career mode. But as always, like I said, already. If you guys enjoyed, you know what to do, and I just want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode as well as the others. The finish wasn't what we wanted, but it was still overall a great race, and I just want to say thank you to the Go On Racing members who were on the car for this episode and will be in the next time we come to Phoenix as well for the championship race. So thank you to MJ, Aiden, James, Joseph 9001, RJ, Timothy, Bubba Jr., Illinois Diecast, Devin Roth, as well as Movement. You guys help me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one for the off-season video before the Daytona 500. Have a great day, everybody.